I picked scenario 2. Mrs. S is a 72-year-old retired school teacher. She lives alone with her dog Ginger and is very independent. When she was shoveling snow on Monday morning after a big storm, she developed a crushing sensation in her chest. This is not the first time that this has happened and that she's had chest pain. She does have a history of angina, but she's never had a heart attack. She takes aspirin daily at home and keeps nitroglycerin tabs in her pocket for just in case. She took a nitroglycerin tab and an aspirin and drove herself to the hospital. Mrs. S was admitted to the hospital on Monday afternoon with chest pain to rule out myocardial infarction. Now that she's been on the patient on cardiology for 4 days now, she's had no chest pain the entire time since Monday and has been ruled out for a heart attack. She has an IV of 0.9 normal saline, keep open, and expect to go home in the morning. At 2200, Miss S put on her call light. The nurse Sue RN answered the call light. She stated that she was having chest pain and rated a 9 out of 10 on the pain scale. Sue RN had the PCA check her vitals and get an EKG. Sue, the RN, went to get her a nitroglycerin tab. Her blood pressure was 90/52 and her EKG shows ST changes. Her heart rate was in the 120s. Breathing was labored at 36 and her pulse ox was 85 on room air. Sue gave her a nitroglycerin tab sublingually, and there was no relief to her chest pain, and her blood pressure decreased to 80/50. 2. Sue RN placed the patient on oxygen at 2 liters, and her pulse ox improved to 91. Miss S is very anxious and states that she feels terrible. She increased her IV fluids to 100 cc's an hour and called the physician. I think the data that is important on every admission into the emergency room and into a new unit is that she did take her medications upon arrival. She does have a history of angina. Her blood pressure was 90/52, and the nurse gave her a nitroglycerin tab anyways. Which then dropped her blood pressure down even further to 80/52. I also think that the EKG change that shows that the ST was changing is also important. And I believe that how her respirations were so high and her oxygen level was so low. I do think that the right call was paging the doctor. I think I probably would have paged the doctor before giving the nitroglycerin tab, and I probably would have bolused her to try and get her blood pressure a little bit higher before administering that nitroglycerin tab. The fact that she's never been on oxygen before and now is dipping into 85% and had to been put on 2 liters is also a major part of what is going on. And then the patient also states that she's anxious and feels terrible. Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Can you tell me your name and date of birth?
My name is Mrs. S, and my date of birth is 7/9/49.
How old are you?
72 years old.
Okay, what are you coming in for today?
I've been having chest pain.
When did the chest pain start?
Monday morning.
What were you doing when you started having that chest pain?
Shoveling outside.
Okay, do you have any history of having heart issues, chest issues?
I have a history of angina, but I've never had a heart attack.
Okay, what medications do you take at home?
I take an aspirin every day, and I use nitroglycerin you put under your tongue whenever I need it.
Okay, when's the last time you took it?
Monday after shoveling.
Okay, so we're going to admit you just for further observation to make sure that you aren't having a heart attack and get that chest pain under control. Is that okay with you?
Sounds good.
Okay. The patient has been on the cardiology unit for 4 days now. She has stated that she has no chest pain since Monday and has been ruled out for having a heart attack. She has an IV of 0.9 normal saline kept open and expects to go home in the morning. Hi, Mrs. S. What's going on?
I'm having really severe chest pain.
What would you rate it on the pain scale, 0 to 10, 10 being the worst?
About a 9.
9? Okay. I'm going to have the PCT come check your vitals and do an EKG on you, okay?
Okay, I'm really nervous.
I know, it's okay. So the patient's vitals were 90/52, respirations 36, heart rate 120, and oxygen level was 85% on room air, and the EKG shows ST changes. I put the patient on 2 liters of oxygen, and now she's at 91%, and I'm going to give her a nitroglycerin tab. I know that. I know I'm not supposed to. Okay, so then after doing that, we rechecked the blood pressure, and it was 80/52. I increased the IV fluids to 100 cc's an hour and paged the physician. So just a little recap on the scenario. Sorry for my dad, he is a cardiologist, so he shook his head at the nitroglycerin tab. I also agree the blood pressure is too low to give that medication to the patient. The patient should have, the doctor should have been paged before administering that nitroglycerin tab, as a side effect for those nitroglycerin tabs is that it will decrease your blood pressure, and with the blood pressure already so low, 90/52, that was not the right call to make. So the doctors, both the cardiologist and the hospitalist, should have been paged immediately. The bolus of IV fluids is a good idea to get her blood pressure up. If the doctor isn't responding, then the next step would be calling a rapid on the patient. The bolus will help bring the, like I said, the patient's blood pressure up, and you needed to hold that nitroglycerin tab. And obviously the DC needed to be canceled because she was not going anywhere. She was at risk for having another heart attack. So, like I said, if the doctor wasn't responding right away, a rapid needed to be called so that the fast acting of treatment was coming because of her history of angina and how her oxygen was dropping, her respirations were high. We needed to get her more stable and before we do anything else with her.